Dale Koch managed the Haywired movie that some of you have seen. How else can we diversify the communication of the Haywired scenario? I called on the Bill Anderson Fund to help us think out of the box in our communication with diversified audiences. Please enjoy their ideas.
Welcome. My name is Nania Campbell. I'm Deputy Director of the Bill Anderson Fund and a Research Associate at the Natural Hazards Center. The presentations you're about to see have been developed by 6 doctoral students from a range of academic disciplines related to hazards and disasters. They are all fellows with the Bill Anderson Fund and have committed to using their research and expertise to address the disproportionate impacts of hazards and disasters in marginalized communities. The project featured in this session supports efforts by the USGS to inclusively engage diverse and historically marginalized communities and help them utilize the findings of the Haywired scenario. With this objective in mind, the fellows started by conducting an environmental scan of organizations serving diverse communities throughout the Bay Area and conducting a few interviews with representatives they were able to reach. Next, they synthesized their findings about the distinct types of organizations into a set of profiles known as design personas to determine how to develop information products that are responsive to the priorities and information needs of the communities that these organizations serve. Finally, they drafted information products that use findings from the Haywired scenario to identify ways that these organizations and their constituencies can plan for, respond to, and recover from a large earthquake. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the fellows to discuss their information products.
Hi, I'm Jean-Claude Donoghue, a PhD student at Florida Atlantic University, and the type of organizations that I've chosen are chambers of commerce. What are chambers of commerce? They are networks of businesses, nonprofits, and public agencies, such as the Oakland Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, the Haywired Chamber of Commerce as well. Those entities typically provide information on business planning and financing, and also assist businesses from marginalized communities. The final audience for my part of the project are businesses from marginalized communities. Those businesses often lack information on earthquake preparedness, they often lack financial resources and personnel, and very often they do not have a disaster plan in place. Many of those businesses communicate through social media, through text, and via email, but they also have their own networks, such as the Black Business Roundtable in Haywired. So why chambers of commerce? 3 main reasons. First reason is their missions. Chambers of commerce secure the economic future of their communities, they enhance the quality of life in their cities, and they also believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion are important to the economic future of the city. Second reason is their commitment to marginalized communities, specifically the Bay Area in this case. So the chambers support business creation and sustainability for Bay Area residents who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. The chambers also support marginalized businesses with access to a network, access to funding, and also business planning services. The third reason is communication. The chambers communicate via websites, social media, flyers, and also by hosting community events. So that leads me into the product idea that I'm presenting, which is a mascot. The objective of a mascot is to have a friendly, inclusive, and interactive character that can fulfill 2 roles. One is to be a spokesperson for the Haywired scenario, and 2 is to be a representative of the partnership among agencies, so the USGS, ECA, CRA, and FEMA, for example. So the mascot will also attend different events that will be held in the following places: the Chambers of Commerce, business locations, different community events, such as fairs or back-to-school events also that will be sponsored by businesses, and also disaster recovery events. So the mascot really will be a connector between the Chambers of Commerce, the members of the chamber, and also marginalized businesses and communities. So the Chambers of Commerce interconnect businesses, they interact with the community, they will host the mascot at different events. The chamber members, which are several businesses and different public agencies also, for one, already have community service initiatives, but they can also partner with the mascot and maybe even sponsor the purchase of some supplies. Now, marginalized businesses and communities will also interact with the mascot at different events and learn about disaster and earthquake preparedness. They'll also get to do some business networking, and they may also be recipients of some of the supplies. So as far as the product, we're showcasing Geo the bear. So Geo will be the mascot. Geo will carry a backpack that will have the Haywired Business Exercise Toolkit in it. We'll have the earthquake preparedness and recovery supplies, a checklist for supplies, a tablet or a laptop to access disaster apps and videos, as well as a disaster board game for the community. So in conclusion, Geo will be the ultimate connector. Geo can be a connector between different information products related to the 4 categories of the emergency management cycle, which are response, recovery, mitigation, and preparedness, which now leads us to our next speaker, Paula.
Thank you, Jean-Claude. I'm Paula Buchanan, and let's get started with the presentation. My targeted organizational type provides financial security improvement programs that serve lower income communities of color. This includes the following 2 Bay Area organizations: Oakland Resilient Families and Just Cause. This organizational type was selected because of the importance of financial security before, during, and after disasters, something that both Jean-Claude and I understand as fellow MBAs and disaster scientists. These organizations provide financial security programs for working class Black and Latino communities because these groups have a history of having low social equity and are often marginalized by society. Now, on to what you're waiting for, the information product. My information product is designed to address pain points experienced by the aforementioned communities, such as lack of financial support and historic marginalization, by addressing the communication challenges of sharing information and other resources with these communities to help them more effectively mitigate and prepare for disasters. My information product is a combination of choose your own adventure young adult fiction books and a create your own board game product to produce, wait for it, boom, a choose your own disaster board game with Geo the Bear as a game piece and or part of the artwork of the game. The choose your own disaster board game uses a concept called gamification, defined as the application of typical elements of game playing to encourage engagement with a product or service as an education and outreach tool. As an information product, the Choose Your Own Disaster board game helps communities more effectively navigate the process of accessing disaster assistance information and other related resources. Versions of the Choose Your Own Disaster board game focus on different disaster types, from earthquakes to floods to wildfires, and are produced for multiple types of communication platforms, such as the physical board game prototype, which is the proof of concept, and also a future mobile phone app with, of course, responsive design baked in. Each version of the Choose Your Own Disaster board game focuses on the proactive phases of emergency management, which Jean-Claude mentioned, mitigation and preparedness that occur before disasters. In conclusion, Geo the Bear and the Choose Your Own Disaster board game series create information product synergy with the potential to connect all information products under one theme, while also having the potential to have information products at all 4 phases of emergency management. Thank you for your time, and visit my website below to contact me for more information. Now on to the next presenters.
Hello, my name is Tychira Muss. I am a DRPH student at the Texas A&M School of Public Health, and I chose to focus on engaging health professionals in earthquake preparedness. I focus on organizations that provide services to marginalized communities, including racial and ethnic minorities and low-income populations. These organizations include public health institutions, healthcare facilities, and community health organizations. These organizations play a key role in emergency preparedness and response efforts. I selected these organizations because they have established networks for delivering services, they have a relationship with local communities, and they understand the needs of their constituents. They provide avenues for communication distribution, and they have the ability to respond quickly to local issues and disasters. The Haywired earthquake scenario demonstrates that hundreds of thousands of people in the San Francisco Bay region would be forcibly displaced by damage to the built environment, fires, and other immediate hazards. The populations these health entities serve may be unaware of the risk or unable to implement preventative measures such as retrofitting their home or purchasing emergency rations. In the event of a large-scale earthquake, marginalized communities may be disproportionately affected by displacement, loss of communications, transportation services, and utilities. Communities may need access to physical and mental health services, in addition to interim housing solutions. They may also need access to resources such as face masks to protect themselves from environmental hazards and to prevent the spread of pathogens, especially considering the pandemic that we're currently living in today. Public health entities and healthcare facilities are in a unique position to disseminate information to these communities before, during, and after an event. They can disseminate disaster information via their websites, social media platforms, community programs, and preparedness activities. I chose to create a video to help health professionals in the Bay Area better understand the needs of their constituents before, during, and after an earthquake. Please enjoy. This video can incorporate other information products that you will see today, such as Geo the Bear and the Disaster Board Game. It can also be embedded into web applications and shared that way. The goal of the video is to provide tailored information which can be used by health professionals to educate their clients and inform their organizational earthquake response measures. Once complete, I hope this video can be used to increase awareness of local hazards among health professionals and their clients. Thank you so much. I look forward to sharing the final version of the video with you all.
Hi, my name is Mujit Olam Debelo, doctoral candidate, electrical and computer engineering at Morgan State University. I'm a BFA fellow. I start my topic of the research is generation energy upgrade and post-disaster communication. My outline is targeting the audience, why organization selected, population needs, and product showcase. Target audience are historical underserved minority in the Bay Area, African American, Latino, and other marginalized groups, low-income vulnerability people in the Bay Area, energy justice organization. Why organizations selected? Low-income minority communities are disproportionate, vulnerable to the climate change, earthquake, and other disaster. Energy justice organization work to bring clean energy solution to marginalization communities. They are work with available housing provider to install clean energy system. Digital divider organization work to increase access to communications and other technologies in the marginalization communities. They work with income communities to provide available access to internet connectivity, ensure each resident has a working device, and promote digital literacy. Population needs. Marginalization communities are often unprepared for disaster due to the lack of resources. Alternate energy source need to be easy for the lay people to create for use in the emergency situation. Income barrier, lack of available supplies require low-cost solutions. Access to solar panels is limited in low-income communities. Disrupts are likely to be further limited to availability of the supply for the alternate energy solution in the immediate aftermath of a large earthquake. Individuals, we need instructions how to communicate fast, safely after disaster. This information product. The information product provide instruction to generate alternate energy and communication access post-disaster. Building a flyway, you have a list. inductor motors, wood, house fan blade, or bicycle wheel, capacitors, rechargeable batteries, and 2-terminal wires or charging wire. Cell phone charging, instruction to test is just for the instruction to test, not to talk, because you charge for limited time. There are 3 steps that you're going to be following. The construct of a simple wood-based mount and hold the inductor motor, connect the drive rod to shaft and flywheel, stroke bicycle wheel or fan blade, anyone you found there. Connect the 2-terminal wires, charging wire, USB wire to the cell phone. That's the basic instruction. This product is designed to educate the people of color, Latino, underserved minority in the Bay Area and energy justice organization how to generate alternate energy from the used household materials with no cost in post-disaster or aftermath. Thank you. The questions?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Blanks, and I'm presenting with my colleague Judan Lennox. Judan and myself are pursuing PhDs in urban and regional science at Texas A&M University. We are excited to share our Haywired information product targeting risk communication for community organizers, such as mutual aid networks and grassroots organizations. First, I will begin by defining what are mutual aid groups. Mutual aid groups offer opportunities for communities to connect both virtually and in person in order to support one another and share resources in their time of a crisis. They start by connecting with others near you and by searching for creating a group within the community. Grassroots organizations use collective actions from the local level to effect change at the local, regional, national, or international level. Social networks are important to disaster mitigation and preparedness. Smaller organizations that are closely connected to communities and provide critical services in lieu of former agencies, such as grassroots organizations and mutual aid networks. Due to frequent and sometimes rapid, and in other cases delayed, movement of information between these networks, it's important that this information is easily exchanged between the organizations and their constituents. Based on key themes identified in design personas, a mobile app offers an innovative approach to share the Haywired scenario and earthquake preparedness resources. Mobile app reaches a larger audience. It holds the capacity for multimedia, such as videos and infographics, and it allows dense information to be simplified and easily shareable. A mobile app allows the USGS an opportunity to simplify their information in a way that is easily accessible and more public-facing. The mobile app can centralize USGS social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The app can support multimedia content such as infographics, news or radio broadcasts, and earthquakes preparedness videos. Lastly, a mobile app can easily share resources such as maps of different shelters, various maps of fault lines, and earthquake maps with the severity ranking of the earthquakes. I will now pass it over to my colleague, Judan.
Thank you, Jen. Hi, my name is Judan, and I am an urban and regional science doctoral student at the Texas A&M University. I consider myself to be a growing urban planning and disaster academic, and as such, my research areas are focused on citizen power in emergency preparedness, disaster resilience, community engagement, and community participation in the hazard mitigation planning process, especially in communities of color. Following on what my colleague Jennifer said, mutual aids were selected because they are a growing part of many diverse communities with a high non-white population. Mutual aids respond to a wide variety of needs during an event, ranging from emotional and material support, and have done so greatly in the San Francisco Bay Area since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially where the effects of these on these communities have been disproportionately negative. Mutual aid is distinctly different from charity as there are no conditions on who is deserving of help, such as persons suffering from substance abuse, the unhoused, sex workers, and other groups that might not meet established parameters to receive state and/or federal aid. The number of mutual groups increase as the effect of a disaster becomes more elaborate or grave, and these organizations may be communicating with various groups at any given time to include volunteers, givers, as well as persons requesting aid. A short and easily digestible communication product would best suit the needs of mutual aids, as they're mostly operating with limited human resources and without an expansive communication team. An infographic could be used both in electronic and print media and is easily deployed. This is critical because persons seeking aid are sometimes transient, unhoused, and very distrustful of the government. The purpose of the infographic is to be used as a knowledge sharing and mobilization feature for mutual aid networks. Because mutual aid networks are community-led, they're often very localized and might not be getting the support, financial or otherwise, to assist the most affected in the communities. The infographic provides basic information on earthquake risk and the specific way that mutual aid might be able to help those needs. The underside of the graphic has a checklist that can serve as a baseline for the most immediate needs in the aftermath of an earthquake for community organizers, volunteers, and persons interested in providing material aid. The checklist was created using the anticipated effects of displacement, fatalities, non-fatal injuries, and loss of shelter using the Haywired scenario. Both products are scalable and adaptable, but will remain products that are easily deployed by community organizations during response and recovery phases of a large earthquake. There will be continued iterations to refine these products for the target audience, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nenia, for designing a process to help us understand the roles of organizations serving marginalized populations and their information needs. Thanks to all the fellows for your playful ideas of a mascot and adventure game, a catchy animation that healthcare organizations could distribute, a practical and affordable solution for a power source to charge a cell phone, and ideas for making Haywired and earthquake preparedness information more easily accessible and understandable, especially for low resource mutual aid organizations.